1 in 3 people over the age of 65 will die with some form of dementia. As we live longer, the disease will affect more and more of us, and there is no cure. Tonight we talk to the experts about what each of us can do to protect ourselves from the disease.
We talk very much about living well with dementia, but in order to be able to do that, we need to make sure that people are aware about what the symptoms are.
The trigger is when we find that we're forgetting things more and more, and this is really getting in the way of our daily life.
For the last year, our cameras have been following the lives of 2 people suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Tonight, their families talk to us about living with dementia.
It doesn't just affect the person who's got it, it affects every single person around them, every single part of the family. It affects your life every single minute of every day.
Dementia is a family name for a whole variety of conditions that particularly affect older people, including conditions such as Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia. The person tends to lose abilities in the areas of things like memory, thinking, reasoning and judgment. We estimate there's something like 38,000 people living with dementia in Wales, and of course for each person with dementia, there are many other people who are affected, particularly those who find themselves in the position of trying to provide care.
During the 1950s, National Service brought Glaswegian Jim McQuaid to North Wales, where he met his future wife, Maureen.
Jim was posted at Kimmel Camp in the army for his national service, and this young man arrived in North Wales, and I was at a church meeting and he came to a church meeting, and from then our romance blossomed.
I thought in my Glaswegian way that she was a smasher, you know, she was very attractive.
When did you get married?
I don't think I could tell you. I don't think I could recall that. I'd need Maureen to tell me that now.
Jim enjoyed a rewarding working life as a Methodist minister before Maureen, a nurse, picked up a warning sign in his behaviour.
We'd been out to a very happy social evening, and the following day we'd gone out for a walk along the promenade at Bournemouth. It was a beautiful day. We were walking along and I said to Jim, "Wasn't it lovely? We had a lovely time last night." And he just looked at me blank and he said, "Oh, we didn't go out anywhere last night." And I thought, what a funny thing to say. So I didn't pick it up, and I just said, "Oh, all right." But alarm bells began to ring.
I think it was probably about four or 5 years into our marriage. No, it must have been more than that, I'm sure. Must have been. But however, when it was Maureen who picked up on the fact that I was forgetting things.
The couple had been together for 40 years when in 2002 Jim first showed signs of dementia. He was sent for tests. They were anxious when they returned to their GP for the results.
And he said to Jim, "Have you ever heard of Alzheimer's?" And Jim looked at him and said, "Yes, I have." And he said, "Well, I think your tests, well, I know your tests are pointing that you have got early Alzheimer's. Anything you want to do, you go out from this office now, and tomorrow morning you put all your affairs in order." So Jim said, "Well, there seems to be a lot of haste in this." And he said, "Well, you know, I give you 5 years."
I think deep down inside, I could feel the panic, but I was fortunate enough to be able to pigeonhole it and get on with life. I didn't at any time despair, nor have I done. I felt irritated, I felt frustrated, but I never got to the point of feeling despair. I think I brought to the front of my mind there was a whole lot of people who had Alzheimer's and had it worse than I had. In 75% of my life, I can keep on in a normal context. I have to confess that the 25% is my bogeyman, if you like. It's the place where I don't like to linger for long.
Jim has very little short-term memory. He can't take a phone message for Maureen or follow a shopping list. But he concentrates on what he can do.
I live life normally. My wife treats me normally. And this normalisation, I think, is absolutely vital. Get on with life, do what's got to be done.
Mr. Alzheimer wants to take over the person. And it's a battle. You're battling with Mr. Alzheimer. We decided that he wasn't going to win straight away. We were going to put up a big battle for it.
Jim and Maureen's church group is holding a Christmas lunch. It's that time of year when people's thoughts turn to the future.
Has it been a nice meal?
Beautiful.
I've ministered to people who are dying, and I've encountered both the theology and the philosophy, if you like, of our life. So I'm, in a sense, in an extremely fortunate position not to be troubled by the thought of death. What bothers me is the losing the simple, basic joy, if I put it that way, of being able intelligently to converse and to absorb what other people are saying.
We do know what the future holds, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can't change the pattern of this disease. There's no way you can change it. Once you have had that diagnosis, there is no turning it back.
Dementia is probably the single largest issue that faces both the health service and social services in Wales and most other countries.
Dementia isn't just about the person who develops the disease, it's also about the impact on the carer, on the wider family and indeed on the community. What we're expecting to see in Wales is around about a 33% increase in dementia by 2020.
The speed of decline for people with dementia varies greatly. This is Anne Oldacre on holiday in Mexico. Anne was the life and soul of the party, the one to take on a challenge or a daredevil stunt.
She was the girl that would go cartwheeling across the dance floor and, you know, be up at the first toot of the horn and still be wanting to go when everybody was ready to go home. She was just, you know, the life and soul of everything, really. And she'd try anything, really, once. Absolutely bonkers, but lovely.
Anne and Peter met while they were serving in the Navy. They married in 1967. When Peter left the Navy in 1991, the couple ran a country pub. In 2002, they retired to Spain for a life in the sunshine.
We sunbathed and swam in the sea and took in the sights and had a pretty good life for certainly quite a while. But it was there that Anne started to become ill. and we noticed that things weren't quite as they ought to be. Her words would start to get mixed up and she got a little forgetful. She once got lost in a hotel in Spain. Well, I'd gone to the bar and came back and she was missing, and she got into the lift and just disappeared, and had all the hotel staff searching for her. And then one day we were walking along the beachfront, just hand in hand, and right out of the blue she turned around to me and said, "You won't put me in a home, will you?" And I think that was the first time that I realised that she realised there was something wrong.
Anne's mother had had Alzheimer's. Now at 57, Anne herself was showing symptoms of the disease.
We started to notice many of the things in Anne that we'd previously seen in her mum. And it was then that I realised there was obviously a problem, possibly Alzheimer's disease, and that I wasn't going to be able to cope in Spain, and we came back to the UK.
The Oldacres moved in with relatives near Monmouth. Anne was tested for dementia.
When she first took that test, she got 25 marks out of it. Each part of the test is scored. And at 25, they say there's some form of diminished cognitive thing going on in the brain. And within 9 months, she got to the stage where she could no longer take the test at all. She just didn't understand the questions and was unable to perform whatever task it was the doctor asked.
Are we ready already, are we?
This was Anne in January, less than 3 years after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. This is not a hospital, but Anne's bedroom at home.
Up until 2 years, just over 2 years ago, she was still walking and talking. And in that 2-year period, she stopped walking completely. And in over 2 years now, she hasn't spoken a single word to me. So it's happened very, very quickly. And now, because she doesn't communicate with me in any way, writing or speaking, I don't have any real knowledge of quite what she knows. It's really strange. You sort of ask her questions, but I don't get a reply. I used to get a thumbs up sometimes, but that's, in the last 6 months, that's disappeared as well. So you sort of hope, really, that you're getting whatever it is right.
Only occasionally is there any sign in Anne's expression that she's aware of what's going on.
You look lovely. You're looking stunning.
Sometimes you can make her laugh, or you'll say something that must trigger a memory or whatever. Or, sometimes a song will. Her sister comes and sings Slow Boat to China to her, which is what her mother used to always sing, and she'll smile, and you know that she recognises that. Just look at those hills.
Yeah.
Aren't they fantastic?
Yes, it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
But isn't it marvellous that we can
we've got
get out and enjoy it again,
we have.
you know?
Yes.
Because when you have this diagnosis, you think everything's going to be doom and gloom, don't you?
Yes. That's the one thing that's your strength and my weakness, is that I do tend to have these periods of being down, don't I?
Yes, yeah.
And all gloomy, you sort of...
Well, you have to work at it, don't you?
Yes.
You have to do something to counteract how you feel, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's the business about being proactive, isn't it?
Yes.
To keep busy.
Yes.
You know, keep your interests going.
Now I'm too scared to be down.
We're not yet at that point of developing a cure, but we're certainly looking much more about the cause of Alzheimer's and other dementias. And I hope maybe that we'll see a cure within the next 20 to 30 years.